So welcome back. In this episode, I'm going to answer the question for you, how to buy tax liens in Georgia. You're going to find out Georgia doesn't sell tax liens. They actually sell tax defaulted properties. So if the property has a challenge with a lien, what the local county will do is they will sell a redeemable deed. So we're going to learn about redeemable deeds today, which is unusual. About 5 different states sell those redeemable deeds, and I'll kind of walk you through that process so that you'll get it. So I'll be right back. Okay, so we're going to talk about Georgia and how to buy tax certificates in Georgia. They actually don't sell the tax certificate. What they do is they sell a redeemable deed. So we'll go through that process. Now, there's over 3,000 counties across the United States. Georgia has 159 of those counties. Each one of the counties is authorized to have an auction every month. Now, the county doesn't necessarily have one if they've just got a few properties. So some of the rural counties with just a very small population, they might not have an auction. But generally, auction properties will take place where there's a lot of properties to do. So the county can decide that. But they're all authorized. All 159 counties are authorized to have these auctions. Now, the tax collector and the treasurer is authorized to do that from the legislature. Now, the legislature, when they're selling these tax liens, they actually call them a redeemable tax deed. And that simply means that when the process takes place at auction, you raise your hand at the auction to buy, and when you buy, you get a redeemable deed, which is a piece of paper that normally would transfer the property. All right, but it's redeemable, and that simply means that the property owner can come in and redeem that property, and when they do, they not only have to pay you back all the money that you invested, they also have to pay you a 20% penalty. Now that's why people like Georgia, because they could get a 20% penalty. Most people will come in and pay it back. All right, so the tax process in Georgia is reselling a redeemable deed. That way, when you go in and buy that redeemable deed, the local county gets that money, and they can pay for the sheriff, and they can pay for the police department, they can pay for the public services like the school teachers and the firefighters and so on. Now, each county is authorized to have at least one auction each year. Now, if the property is delinquent, the county is in really a severe problem because they can't pay their bills. So what they do is they sell a redeemable deed. They do that once a month in the state of Georgia. So you could have 100 sales taking place in Georgia on the first Tuesday of every single month. So you have plenty of choices to buy there. Now, people don't do as well online in Georgia simply because they hold public auctions. But now, since COVID, we'll probably see a lot of changes and see some online auctions. So auctions are online and offline. They're always announced in the local newspaper, and they're also announced in the county website. So keep that in the back of your mind. All right, so there's 159 counties, so there's going to be a lot to choose from. The legislature keeps it the same because they want to get all the auctions done at one time, and that's what they do. So the first part of the month, they're going to do all those auctions. There won't be another auction until the next month. But that's a lot more than most states do. Most states will have 1 or 2 auctions in the year. Georgia's going to have are authorized to have 159 and do it every single month. All right, so these auctions are public notice auctions. Everybody knows about the auction. In other words, they put it in the local newspaper, they'll put it up on the website. Not to worry, there'll be plenty of them for you to go to. All right, now what the county is doing is they're recovering money that someone didn't pay. In other words, all property is taxed within the state. All right, if a property owner doesn't pay their taxes, they are going to lose their privilege. But Georgia is a benevolent state. So what do? They auction the redeemable deed. So you and I can raise our hand. We can go in and buy that deed. When we buy the deed, we don't get possession. We just buy the deed. However, we now have a right to that property. And the right simply is this. If that property owner doesn't come in and pay the deed, if they don't pay it, they don't come in and redeem the deed, well, then you're going to get the property. Most property owners will come in and redeem. That means you're going to get back all your money, and you'll get a 20% return. Now, here's the beauty of doing business in Georgia. If you buy at an auction today, it's going to start a clock going tick, tick, tick. Any day that they come in to pay, they have to pay you back all of your money plus that 20%. So if they come in and pay their taxes in, say, 20 days, you'll get all your money plus 20%. If they come in 150 days, same thing. You get all your money plus 20%. If they come in on the 365th day, you get all your money plus 20%. So that means it's a redeemable tax date. That's number one. And it's called a penalty return. So that's not an annualized rate of return. So what are they selling? They're selling redeemable deeds. So when you buy that, they can come in any day and redeem it, but they have to give you back all your money plus 20%. Now, 20% is a heck of a return on your money on a nice secure investment like that. Keeping in mind it's secured by the deed. So if you don't get paid, you're going to get the property, and you're now going to own a property at what you paid at the tax auction. So you'll own property for just back taxes. Okay, now what do? The local county is going to issue many notices to these people. Now they call these notices of default. When they issue that notice of default, they're going to do that by registered mail. So they're going to tell that property owner the consequences of not paying. My point is this: the property owner already knows they're in default. The county's going to send them a notice that says, here's the consequences if you don't pay. If you do pay, you're going to get your redeemable deed back. If you don't pay, you're going to lose your property. And they mean business. They're going to take action, and they're going to take it quickly. So all properties in Georgia are sold at auction on a once-a-month basis. Okay, the redeemable deed has been in effect since way back in the 1700s. So this is not some new process. People have known about it for absolute decades. First of all, the owner will get a notice, just like you're seeing on your screen right now. And it's a notice of default. They'll get many notices. That notice of default explains that they will lose the property. That's right, the property will be forfeited to the state. However, they're selling a redeemable deed. That means when you go as the buyer, you raise your hand, you get a redeemable deed. You need to just wait and see if the people come in and pay. All right, so if the property owner doesn't pay taxes, you're going to end up with the property. It's going to be as simple as that. Okay, so I think I've pretty much covered the state of Georgia. You're kind of getting the idea. Now, folks, I'm not an attorney. I'm not a CPA, and I'm not a real estate broker. I'm just a prepared investor. Now, over the years, I've been doing this for well over 30 years. Over the years that I've been doing it, I not only purchase properties myself, but I've become a coach and a guide and a mentor to help other people do that. So I've written many things about tax liens and tax deeds. It's a very simple business. There's unusual parts for each state. So Georgia is one of the 5 states that are penalty states. So that simply means if you go to the auction, raise your hand, and you buy the redeemable deed, and they come in and pay the tax the next day, it's a penalty return. So you would get all your money back plus the penalty. Whereas if you were buying in a tax lien state, you would get an amortized rate of return, which would be much smaller. So let's say it was a 24% return, all you would get would be 2% for that month. So there's a lot of advantages in the penalty states. Let's take an example, and let's do that right now. Okay, so let's assume that an auction was taking place and the property had a value of $8,000. Of course, you would have checked that and known the tax assessed value. So you know the property's worth $8,000, and it's maybe just a residential lot. And the tax auction starts, and you bid and you buy it. You buy the redeemable deed for $2,000. So it's worth $8,000, you bought it for $2,000. Now you just go home and wait. You sit on your rusty dusty. You don't get possession of the property because it's a redeemable deed. Property owner stays right there on the property. All right, so now we understand what's taking place. Now let's just wait. We're going to sit at home. So let's assume a whole year goes by and the property owner does not come forward and pay the back taxes, which you just invested $2,000, okay, does not pay you and does not pay the penalty. All right, so then what you're going to do is you're going to hire an attorney. And you're going to say to the attorney, look, let's foreclose. And legally speaking, you can do just that. So the attorney, you can watch them do that. They'll go through the foreclosure process, and they'll wipe out right of redemption. The people won't be able to redeem anymore. It'll be now your property. So now what could you do with that property? Well, that would be pretty easy. You could put it on Facebook Marketplace. You could put it on Craigslist. You could use eBay. Basically, let's put it up for $8,000. You bought it for $2,000. And now you sell it for $8,000. Okay, now this is happening every day in the state of Georgia. So the property owner either comes in and pays you, or you get the property. That's the way it works. All right. So let's kind of look at that example. So let's say it was a 4-acre parcel. All right. So up on the screen, you can see, all right, you paid $2,000. 1 year goes by. They don't come in and pay. Well, you'll probably have to pay another year's taxes. So maybe you're all in at, say, $2,800, just to use some kind of example here. But you sell it, and you sell it for $8,000. Well, folks, all that profit is yours. So you didn't get a 20% penalty because they didn't come in and redeem. But you got the property, and now you made the profit on the margin between your purchase price and what the value of the property was. If they had come in and redeem, you would have made 20%. So it's a good way for you to make money. Either way, you're going to be able to make pretty good money in the state of Georgia. Now, a lot of people don't understand what we've talked about here, but if you kind of open up your mind, learn a little bit about it, you're either going to make a 20% return or you're going to get the property and you're going to have that great margin. So again, I'm Ted Thomas, and I've already mentioned before that the two big mistakes at tax auctions are, number one, people don't look at the property. Number two, they don't have an exit strategy. But for you, I've got a special gift. It's below. It's absolutely free, so take advantage of it. I'm Ted Thomas.